Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine Ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? It's your Sorcerer Supreme, Frank Castle, right here on Fearless each and every Saturday night. Coming live from the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Oh, that's what this is, the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Shout outs to TFR. Shout outs to Chris and Cherie. Glad you guys are doing Excellente. Without you, we wouldn't be so perfecto and Excellente as well. There's my Spanish and Italian mix. Don't ask me for any more. And I'm sitting here with my ethereal translator and resident Khaleesi, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone. Mother of God.
I hope everyone's doing well. I hope just things are relatively awesome. We're a little bit behind. That's the I want to go out. A little bit behind this evening. We were literally down and out. Hey, get off the chair. We were down and out. Literally slept since
this afternoon.
We've been down.
Well, we got up, in all fairness, I mean, you didn't sleep. You only slept a few hours. And I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. And the other night, everyone was up. All our Fearless family, everyone was woken up at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning. Everyone was lively. This house was rocking and rolling.
Oh, people online, too. Everyone woke out of a dead sleep.
Shout outs to the Fearless family. Yeah, really interesting, right? That at the same time, a bunch of shaman, shout outs to Shaman Jimmy, many others, were hitting me up like, yo, man, what's going on right now? Are you being attacked? And I'm like, oh, not really, but I'm being wide awake.
Yeah.
And I've been wide awake, and I try to go to sleep at 11. Like, I try, right? I know you've seen me do it. I'll pass out, but I won't last more than 2 hours. And then on a day like today, just sleep. It's like it calls to me.
It's the strangest thing.
Pulling me down.
It really is. And we had a very nice visit. We had a visit from Ra and his family today. They came over for a little bit.
Shout outs to Ra. That was just on. Excellent information, by the way, my brother.
My goodness, his daughter is beautiful. I mean, both his girls are beautiful. I mean, you know, his family is beautiful, but his daughter is beautiful, and she's so good. And after they left, we kind of just put everything together, you know, getting ready for the show, talking about what we're going to talk about tonight. And then all of a sudden...
Did you notice Ra and I were dressed alike again?
Yes. And...
I don't know what the hell's going on.
It is what it is. I know. Please, if I could wear scrubs, I would. And then, you know, Frank and I were like, let's just take a quick nap. And
it was like calling us.
I felt like... I was telling you this when we woke up. I felt like the movie Alien, when Sigourney Weaver goes down and she wakes up 60 years later. They tell you you've been sleeping for 60 years. And I didn't know where I was, what dimension it was, what year it was. It was very strange, a very strange experience. So something definitely happened during that
sleep.
Something like
perhaps
traveling through a portal or a new timeline.
Timeline recovery. I don't know. It
Or
was very strange.
I have one for you because this is kind of what Paula and we were tossing this around. I haven't drank ayahuasca in forever. It's been almost a year.
Yeah.
I haven't no
it
DMT.
Might be.
It's about a year.
Oh, yeah, about a year.
And magic mushrooms for sure, a whole bunch of times. But the calling is coming back, and at the same time to make sure, because me and Ra were discussing what it's like to see when you close your eyes and how intense it can get, and what it actually looks like. And I like to stay on top of the whole thing. Like I'm not quite doing it sober by any means, but not the way I was blasting myself. So I want to make sure, like, hey, I've been purging a lot. This happened. We're all up at one. Check that box. There's a whole bunch of people up. They're purging. This is what's going on. I saw this character, this character, this character. Okay, what's happening? I can't. After that happened, I feel these new energies and waves. When I close my eyes to see, I don't see Paula's light body. I can tell there's like a dot of light that would represent Paula, but it's just sitting still until she speaks or something, and then it vibrates outward. So you see like energy, vibrating, and it becomes really weird. So I'm like, hey, man, or hey, Paula, perhaps from the other day and the timeline shift that occurred, and we talked about this last week on the show, now it's like that portal is open. Like we passed through it. We're in the new timeline. And now new energy. Here's something you haven't had since the very beginning again. Bang, and it hits you. And it takes a couple of days.
To get used to it, definitely. Without question.
It's like dragging you through the mud, but everything's fine.
Yeah. And then in the last moment you're launched through. You're rocketed through. So you're dragging in the mud, and then all of a sudden everything just picks up and everything becomes like exponential. Time is just going by very quickly. It's very strange.
It was weird as you woke up. When I woke up, I was, all right, keep it linear. So when I was going down and I couldn't get back up, I was very happy. And I kept seeing these little beings working on me. They were small. And I was like, there's a giant insect smiling at me. It had big red eyes. And I'm like, how do you smile with that face? And I was going out. It was like almost the DMT trip was starting immediately. And then you're sleeping.
Yeah,
right?
this was just taking a nap.
And
under no influence, yeah. This is just a nap.
Prior to you going down, minus the fact that it's ice cold out and it was 60 degrees 2 days ago, are there parts on your body that hurt more than others?
Oh, yeah.
And is that rotating shifts like that hurt, now this one hurts over here, and my cycle's off, and then this thing is off, my neck's hurt, my back. Like, is it switching it up? Because I went down, my wrists were killing me. I mean, bad. It's almost like I curl them while I'm sleeping. I can't wait till we go to video, by the way, so you guys can see us now because we're ready to rock and roll with the new setup. But I popped out of bed perfect. And these little beings were singing to me, and I was still looking at the happy being, and I didn't realize I was even in the bedroom with you, and I felt your foot, and then I kind of rolled out of bed, realized the time, made a move, and I'm going, man, I feel really good.
I know, I do too, for some strange reason.
From this morning awakening,
I do too, yeah.
I did not feel right.
No, me neither. I had a lot of joint pain today. It's very cold out, and it's very windy out. So I woke up with a lot of joint pain, and I said, okay, it's just going to be one of those days. Then when I went down for that nap, and I did wake up, I felt wonderful. I feel wonderful. I actually feel wonderful. I'm very congested, but that's just because, it's cold and we can't keep the windows open and my allergies or whatever. But my neck doesn't hurt the way it did before either. Very strange.
It's weird that it's 9 o'clock at night. We're lively now.
Coming along, and you know me. This is my sleep. This is when I go down.
Yes.
So for me, this is not
all
hard.
All reversed function today.
Yeah, it's like everything's backwards. But it feels okay. Everything's going. It's backwards, but it's working.
They say when you're going through that, you don't know when it's up and it's down, but everything's fine, and you don't know if it's Tuesday or Saturday. What time is it? Is it time for the show? Maybe I'll just take a nap. You wake up, it's 8, 9 o'clock. I don't know what's going on, but everything's all right. They said that's when you're in the flow. You're just living.
Yeah.
That's kind of something they showed me. When I say they, ayahuasca showed me in the very early stages Like when you can't remember it's Tuesday or Wednesday, but you're still getting stuff done every day, but you're just living. You're not trying to get stuff done. You're just doing what you feel like you need to do.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me this week in particular. I just got what had to get done. There was no plan. I just did something I don't know, I had a list of tasks to do every day. But I didn't put any pressure on it. I just did it. It was almost like what we talked about before, coming out of that mud, your feet in the mud. And
yes.
It just everything just kind of fell into place this week with ease. Usually it's like, oh, I got to mop the floor.
Yeah, it's like a stressful, it's like, what do you got to do? The other day here, once again, paperwork. And I was laughing because we have the new setup. So I had to redo everything from my job and everything. But one of the things I realized is I had it in my phone. I had a little bit in my iPad. And when I'm just pressing a few buttons and I have to take a photo, scan it into my phone, get it onto the computer, e-fax it out, right? So I was sitting with the cat, and I had the nervous look. Like, oh, let me tell you. I think I said it out loud. Now, let me teach you, little bear, about this stuff called paperwork. And here we go again. And then I laughed, and I went, luckily, all I have to do is, and I started freaking out, and I went, wow, I only have to sign my name and date that and hit send on the e-fax.
Because you prepared everything ahead of time.
And instantly, it was like a wave of relief. And then that was it. That was all I had to do that day.
Yeah.
Everything else
fell into place, and we just got it done. I know.
So
I know. I
the word worry again, right? When you worry, you're busy wasting time on the worry, the thought that you're worrying about it.
Right.
Okay. When you're not, but you're still got your concerns and everything, but there's nothing you can do, and you got to go on about your day. That's kind of the stage I'm at, where there is no worry. It's like when the computer went. I lost my stuff for 1 second, and I just went, okay, I guess this is how it's going to be. The lesson is here. Now, I can choose to be like, I'm going to punch that thing. But no, I didn't.
No, you kind of...
It flipped the other way.
It did. You took a step back.
I disconnected from everything and everyone.
And that was the longest time I've seen you without a computer.
I go on now. It gives me a headache. Like I was sitting here the other night when I woke up late and I had to stay up all night. I was kind of surfing all night and listening to stuff. It bothered me after a few hours that I couldn't find anything to watch. No, it's like nothing's new, nothing's refreshing, nothing's really taking my like I'm not feeling the information that's out there. I already know internally what's going on. It's
we're being flooded with a lot of information we didn't ask for. So
I asked.
There's a lot of information.
I asked. I said, "Give me back," and they were like, "Oh, you sure? Because you're coming. But how fast are you gonna?" This isn't sounding right. Like, how fast do you want it to return? Because you can pop. Like, you're a sack of water.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about
You send too much electricity through that, too much information, and you can't handle it. We are being bred and conditioned for the higher levels because these are the higher frequencies we talk of. It's like the more thought, more thought thinking we can have, the more awareness, the more... awareness within your inner space. So in other words, I'm looking for stuff to entertain me. Meanwhile, there's nothing more entertaining than the internal of what I'm asking externally for. I already know. It's like when they say, you already know what you're doing. You know you did something bad. You know at that moment that you were doing something bad. You're not bullshitting anyone. Stop lying. Right? Well, I know internally when I ask a question, is she for real? Is this really happening? Is there going to be an event? And they're like, dummy. Really?
You already know the answer to that.
Really?
Yeah.
The higher me is yelling at me, saying...
Stop. Is that... You wearing Batman shirt?
I am.
See? You Batman today?
Paula! When is a bomb not a bomb?
When it's a man.
When it's a man! So... Sorry, that's been like the... So there's so many changes going on with everything. Is that a giant hair?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's all over. I do like the new mic covers though.
We got the new mic covers and the new mic cords.
We got new cables and stuff. It's cool. It's nice, clean,
efficient. So speaking of Batman,
faster, stronger.
I was watching the cartoons again, of course, and because I'm saying to myself, I can't be entertained by some of the stuff because I already have the gnosis of that stuff.
Right.
Okay, and there's nothing there right now. Let me turn to the cartoons. As I'm watching, excuse me, the new Teen Titans cartoon. All right, it's on the DC network.
They put all the content in there that we talk about.
I can't escape it, not even for one moment. So one of the characters on the show, I'm just going to go over this quick. Paul will enjoy this. There's a character called Halo, right? As the new character shows up, they're in a fight with these elementals. And these fire elementals are just grabbing people and melting them, right? So the heroes show up to save other beings that have the genetic marker to become a hero, right? So they have the marker, and they're kids, naturally, they're teens, and they're put into an area, kind of like in Wolverine or Deadpool when they take them and kind of put them into the spot, and they start like testing on them and stuff. So they show up right before the murders start. They were like going to send these fire elementals in on these kids that had the ability to have powers, but they didn't activate yet or whatever.
Right, a genetic marker for it.
So the heroes show up, and one of the fire elementals grabs this kid by the face and melts her head off. Right?
Oh
now,
my God,
wait, it picks her off the floor. Now, this is
terrible.
And just melts her head down to the skull, throws her to the floor, and the heroes are like,
that's rough.
Oh, man, we're late. Like, oh, no, you just killed the kid. So they start flipping, and they're trying to beat this elemental up. Little do they know is that elemental is actually another child that's genetically markered and was injected with something to bring this character out of them. So they were creating these clones of these fire beings
to push out their abilities.
So the dead girl, her burning carcass, gets up off the floor and her face reforms, and she goes, "No, I'm still alive." And I'm like, "Oh, what am I watching?" Right now, this is a kid's show. So she doesn't know who she is at this point because she just brought herself back.
Right.
And the being tries to grab her again, and her aura glows gold or yellow, and it knocks back the creature.
Wow.
And then she goes, "Stop!" And it turns violet, right? And all the beings stop, and they go, her aura turns violet, and she shoots this thing out and she helps destroy the villain. Okay, my point is, they start discussing the colors of the aura right there. So her power is she can change her aura color and then gets a new ability with that. One can protect her, so she's like totally protected, nothing gets in. Then she can project outward. She could rain violet flame. All right. Okay, so she can open portals. She can heal herself. Oh. Then as the show is going on, she just gains more power.
So it's
she
like a
fly.
checklist of everything we talk about.
Oh, my God. Okay, so while that's going on, they're like, how are they creating these fire beings, right? So they go down into the villain's evil lair, and they're the tubes that you just said, like in Aliens. They put them in, you go to sleep, you wake up 60 years later. The tubes that we discussed you being in during the abduction scenarios. They have children lined up in these tubes, right? And then the villain starts going, oh, we got to collect everything before the heroes get right in the door. So they run out, but it flashes back to them. And the kid's like, what are you doing? Get me out of this tube. So they're like, don't worry, it'll be over shortly. And they press this button, and black goo starts coming up out of the bottom, and it fills the whole thing up. They drink it in. They drown. And then it changes them into this demonic fire elemental thing. And it was just clones after clones after clones of the same kind of creature, but they were all kids. So I'm like, well, that's pretty intense. That was like one episode. So the episodes are 30 minutes, 40 minutes long.
And
so
that's one episode.
One episode.
So one episode covered about 14 shows that we talked, 14 of our shows.
So the next episode opens with...
That's crazy.
Robin from Batman and Robin, right? The kid... He has to find Red Arrow, right? That guy, Roy. Mm-hmm. So Roy, the original Roy, last season was taken by this villain, and he was cloned over and over and over. So he started, after last season was over, they were gathering the clones. So now this season opens where they go to find Roy, and he owns a security business, right?
Oh, and all of
And
his
all of the
clones
clones work there, right? So there's one that was genetically modified to be like superhuman. So he's the Guardian, they call him. So he's this one hero. Then one's really smart. Then one's Red Arrow. Then one of them got one of the girls pregnant.
That's wild.
Now I'm watching this going,
This is,
I literally just said nothing
but this is
the
actually
world
happening as we speak. As you're
is going to impress. I'm watching every YouTube video. Netflix, nothing. No Gordon Ramsay tonight. I can't take it no more. And I put the cartoon on, and that's what so one episode, and now, mind you, there's 14 episodes or 13 episodes so far, so you can imagine how deep it goes.
the content, yeah.
The girl at this point is doing the most ridiculous thing. She remembers who she is, and every time, and she has every color of her aura, right? The black goo is a substance that they just find that came out of a meteor that landed, that went deep into the planet, deep, 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 and then from there started crevicing up into this stuff. Now, Ra was talking about supercomputers earlier tonight, or like some kind of quantum computing or whatever. Now, when we see...
Yeah, that they actually hold them in another dimension. They're
I was going to jump right to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I got you.
That they're computing, that they're actually doing their computation so fast. I think that's what it is.
So we saw a video of these guys that were on the scientists on the comedy show, but the scientists were the scientists. And they asked how fast the quantum computing is being done. And the scientist goes, it's not being done in this dimension.
Right.
Right? So the guy, everyone was laughing. It's not being done in this dimension. They all laugh. And one of the comedians just looks over and goes, are you being serious? And he goes, oh, I'm dead serious. This isn't a joke. Like you guys are the comics. And everything gets quiet.
Because people get uncomfortable.
It's computing.
Because now you're removing the ground under their feet.
So fast.
You're taking it away.
Okay, so now, all right, I'm going to connect all this. In Lucy,
The
movie with
Scarlett
Johansson. The end of the movie, spoiler alert, she becomes a giant supercomputer of black goo, right? But it's actually nanotech.
Because it consumed her
Well, no, she became...
physical being, didn't it?
She was actually able to do that.
Right.
She was time traveling.
But because of the knowledge that she was gaining, right?
The more knowledge...
Yeah.
Well, the more control over her brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brain capacity was at 100%. She just teleported out. She literally, boop, was gone. That black goo stuff was gone at that point. When she was like 90%, she built the computer in front of them and left the little thing for Morgan Freeman. This is all the same stuff. Is the black goo nanoparticles that are secreted when these things mix with elements, like in the ground? Does it come from here? Does the Earth have like a bio sphere where within it, because you have the good oil, abiotic oil, you would have to have the negative of that? Or was that negative inserted because the matrix we live in is a reflection of this weird dualistic universe we live in, and it corrupts? So then you have to have these nano goo. The black goo is actually, when you blow it up, like secreting this black oil, which is allowing it to also be a supercomputer, a hypercomputer with all these little nano things in it with this tech. So it grows and it does. There's another movie, Big Hero 7 or 6 or something, with the superhero kids. And the kid's brother was the smart guy, and he dies.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his creation was those little nano
Yes.
creations. And the kid winds up, the little brother he gets the brother's robot, and the robot's protecting him. But the villain of the movie has the nanotech, and when he shows up riding it, it looks like he's on a wave of black goo. Mm-hmm. And then it just covers him, and he becomes this demonic looking thing, and then he shape shifts and becomes this other thing. But inside, it's just a guy wearing a suit. It's a guy wearing the black goo mixed with the particles. Yeah, that thing right there, Bill, you just put it in the room. Teen Titans Season 3, it's on the DC app, the DC streaming service app. So you could watch the other seasons and see reference. All right, so here's another thing I'll throw out there. In the show, in the earlier seasons, there was a soda-like substance that when the aliens arrive, let me just put it like this. Aliens show up, finally, and they're like, oh, wow, there's aliens out there. So the aliens are like, look, we're here to help, right? And we want to help you, and we're going to help stimulate economy and get people back their health and do all kinds of stuff. So they start selling, gets really weird, their own cola. I forgot the name of it. And as the people are drinking it, they start becoming addicted to it. And then when they turn on the radio waves or the frequency from their machines, if you're part of the people drinking the product, you become the mindless servant to the aliens. That was last season. So like they were asking up in there.
Oh, in the chat room. Yeah. No, I get it. But it's all around us. It's telling us what's happening.
Okay, all right. So
through this storytelling,
the Teen
they are
Titans,
telling us what is happening.
Paul, we were watching the show. It is the actual show on the same app. And I'm not promoting this stuff. I'm just telling you, I try to get away from one thing to learn to just get away, like turn off and watch some Superman, Batman stuff. And it was literally exactly what we're doing.
Because that's the universe validating you, letting you know that you're on the right path. You're going in the right direction. You're on the right path. So you're trying to escape it, but the universe is telling you it's all around you. Because all of that's sprinkled in television and radio and what we see on the internet, and there are channelers out there are people that receive information from the Pleiadians or other beings letting us know what's going on, informing us what we need to do and change to have a better outcome in the future. And they are telling us the same thing. They're all giving us the same messages.
And it's everywhere.
We have to pay attention, so it's everywhere.
Paying attention. As your awareness expands, we realize it's been here with us the whole time. Get prepared. When we come back, we're stepping deeper into the deepest end of the fearless pool.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I awake or is this a dream? A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
What's up? It's your man Frank Castle, your Sorcerer Supreme, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. This is Fearless, and I'm here with my beautiful translator, Paula Milo. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Everyone's been really, the Fearless family, I love you so much. I'm showing pictures of the new studio and just the things people were saying. I built everything in here with Paula, painted everything, did it all ourselves. And it's all things out of our comfort zone. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without Paula at all.
Thanks, babe.
No, but for real, you know that. And the Fearless family has been patient and been beautiful and loving and caring and surrounding me with that energy. It's really, I like to share back because I haven't gone live for a while because we haven't had the equipment to do that. So now I'm very excited that things are starting to fall in place. Mm-hmm. But it's you that makes it worth it.
Oh, thank you.
You know, and it's the Fearless family that comes together, forming Voltron, the Justice League, whatever you want to call it, the X-Men, all of them, Avengers Assemble. This is that time. This is that moment. And I really appreciate you out there. So thank you for everything. Stick around tonight. Paranormal Portal's up next. Brent and Longbeard. Yeah. This crew is just amazing. I think Chris and Cherie will be back next week with Beyond the Veil. I'm sure during the week, once they start rolling, it's a wrap. You know how it goes once it starts getting on fire. So just to bring it back around earlier, my wrist hurt really bad when I fell asleep and I had my arms all cramped, all mantis style cramped. And as these beings were working on me, they were singing and doing like the Doozers from Fraggle Rock, the way you would think them working. They're always building so fast. You're just like, whoa. But they were like clearing it out. And then you were in the shower and we were talking. And I'm like, look, man, my wrists don't hurt. And I got my little copper bands on, everything. It feels great. And I'm like, wait a second, time out. Those my energy centers that were clear? Like, why are these specific body parts hurting in these areas? Like, my heart hurts sometimes.
Yep.
And then it just goes away. And I'm like, oh, here it goes. Oh, now, last week when I freaked out, I was doing the, do I have cancer? No, you don't have cancer. Are you sure I don't have cancer? In my lungs? Because I had this cough that wouldn't go away. It was terrible. I was coughing up. It was like a purge and a cough. Go ahead, laugh. Go ahead.
No, I don't want
Yeah, no, you can. I'm not none of this bothers me. I'm not wearing dresses. I was coughing until I threw up. It's not a big deal.
So Frank was actually, I think it was more of a panic attack, and from the wall. And I don't think there's any lead paint in this wall. I think it's oil-based paint. I don't think there's any lead paint, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong because, I don't know.
After I did the wall and we shaved down the walls, I started to get a cough, and then it got really, really intense.
Yes, but we were also working when it was 24 degrees out, and then one day it was 14 degrees.
There's a lot of factors for sure.
All the windows open, and it was very cold in the house for a few days. We cleaned it out, and, dust has to settle. And I said, I think you just need some Mucinex.
Well, I've been pounding Mucinex.
No, but
it actually helped.
To get Frank off the ceiling because he thought he had cancer, and then I said, well, let's go make a doctor's appointment. I'm not going to the doctor. And then it started all over again. And I said, man, you need to pull yourself together.
So when
you really
this goes back to last week when I was screaming, I want to be happy.
Yes. So he starts coughing, and I said, you know what? You need to purge that. And then
I coughed until I threw up.
He threw up.
Multiple times.
Yes.
That's how bad it was. And then there was this terrible wheeze in my chest. And then just all right, so when I could see the timeline shift change, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't want to be like this. I want to be happy. That's why I'm here. Internally, that's the structure.
Well,
I'm yelling as I'm coughing, right? Now, naturally, that sounds like, well, of course, I don't want to cough. I don't want to be throwing up. I don't want to be a mess like this. But it got so bad anxiety-wise mixed with whatever was happening over the course of the week. At that final moment where you're like, yo, enough. It almost like a vibration occurs and you split off from that version of yourself.
Yes.
It's like you close your eyes and when you open, you almost like feel like you're in a weird trip or something, like something's weird, and then nothing hurts. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wait, what just happened? I just went through a week of hell, and just like that, it's over.
Yes, because you let it go. Because you yell at me. I don't know how you can stay so calm. I don't know why anything doesn't bother you. The cat just threw up in front of you, and you're like, okay, what's the big deal? Because what is the big deal? In the end, what is the big deal? You got to get through it. If you're going to live, you got to get through it. You're choking and you're coughing. You got to purge it. You got to get through it.
No, I know.
And
it was this
like
developing this intense wheeze.
Yes.
It felt like it was branching out through my bronchial area. I thought I was just going to die.
Yes. But then when I offered a solution like, hey, let's go, we'll call my doctor, and you're screaming, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't know how else.
Well, this wasn't the point. I'm not trying to
No,
bring
I know that.
Part out.
Oh, sorry.
That's not.
No, the point is
that I shook that shit off.
You did.
But it felt like a timeline
shift. Yes.
Almost like that will never ever happen again. Like if you want optimum timeline and you have awareness,
that will never happen to you again. You'll never have an outbreak like that again because there's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay, so your body is making these weird adjustments. We have a new friend in the house.
We feed this cat. He's like a kitten. At the kitchen window at night. He comes like in the middle of the night. And we feed him on the windowsill, and he just jumped into the kitchen. And
we call him Bucky Barnes.
Yes.
Because he can be cool, but sometimes he could be like the winter soldier. All right, so basically you shake off this timeline, right? The character that you no longer want to be. The purge comes in different ways. It comes in letting go, but it also comes in physical symptoms.
Yes,
right?
But you have to let that go. physically
I
let
understand,
it go.
but we have to.
And you did. You physically let it. You physically purged it. You physically let it go.
Okay, now physically releasing it now allows you to become lighter. Right? I am now new. Once you have the purge, you're open
Yes,
to receive.
Absolutely.
Okay. So my body then becomes swollen for days.
Yes.
And was sleepy. I'm like, what's going on? I just purged and I did it already. What? And now we go right before the show. You're in the shower. I'm standing there with you. And I'm like, yo, my wrists don't hurt anymore.
I know.
And I realize
they look smaller.
Yeah,
they
no, they're
actually
mad
look
tiny.
smaller
They don't
than
even
they did
feel
before.
like they
I know,
did.
because when I was touching them before, they were creaking.
Yeah.
They actually look physically smaller.
I feel like I can go through the wall again.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
so strange.
are those energy centers?
Yes,
Okay, now I'm going to swing this into crazy because Chris was talking about this. Those that you were watching Chris's little from Beyond the Veil, by the way, Chris and Cherie went live and we're talking about traveling in time and how do we fix things and do certain things. And he mentioned that it was explained to him he can heal himself by traveling back
right
in time and like kind of fixing it there, even though it's been passed. Like he didn't understand or he was drawing his own conclusions to it. And I was listening to him and going, oh,
that makes sense.
All right, we're losing the timelines. We're fixing ourselves. But, all right, this is going to make sense. Trust. We were going months ago back to original rituals. So the day whatever being laid into the guy who was making atomic weapons, right? The atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Frank, you got to go back to that moment. And when that information comes in, because you're not changing your past, you're changing one timeline echoes into the next. They bridge to each other, right?
Isn't that the objective of the Terminator, to go back?
Okay, so you go back and you kick the ritual out. You rain violet flame on it. I know this sounds very imaginative and crazy,
but
right?
It's not. It's not.
So the mushrooms were actually doing this. And during my meditations with the FearLess group, you're going to go back to the original ritual. So I would be like, okay, look, I don't know who wants to do this with me. Only a select group of people even wanted to do that. It gets crazy.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so I would just sit there, say where we're going. Okay, we're going to go to the day that they decide to do the first ritual to bring in whoever gave them the information. I don't want to say the demonic names and this character, that character. We just say, we know who's coming through. We're going to be there. And they're not going to see us. And we're going to come in and smash everything. We're going to do the best we can to cause a massive disruption. So what happened is we kept doing this over and over to all different events. And we kept doing it. It worked over and over. Now, you're not changing your timeline, the one that you're on, the linear one. You're changing the ones that echo all around it.
Right.
Okay, so while they were doing rituals year after year since the original blood sacrifice ritual, it's built for them. It was a battery. Every year they had to do it. Every ritual moment when the stars aligned, when the book said you had to do it. And if you don't do it, you lose. All that karma comes back to the villain. Mm-hmm. So the villain goes balls to the wall, which is why it becomes what we have today. It's obvious, like the villains are the villains now. It becomes cartoonish because they have no choice. Right. The minute we're becoming more aware, they're just still doing the ritual. They're not getting more awareness.
Can't leave.
If they're stuck.
Can't get out of it.
They can't take that stuff with them.
Can't.
And they have all of ours because of what they did. Okay, so you go back and you start smashing those rituals over and over and over. And anytime a being shows up, you smash, close that portal now. Anytime a dude tries to do something, cake him in his face, remove the book, change the words, rain violet flame, meet my dragon, stuff a bag over his head, kick him down a flight of stairs. Do what you have to do. You try really not to hurt anyone. You do the best you can with your mental gravity for the situation that you can handle. I go deep, go crazy. I show right up. I talk to people and then start slapping them around and showing them what they do. I start flipping the books, ripping the pages out, taking them with me. And this echoed out. And what we witnessed was a draining of their battery over the echo of their dark derivative. So they started losing power. They can't pull the ritual off because now we knew we were going back. Now we're here. It's not working here. It doesn't work on me no more. Your Super Bowl ritual didn't work. Why not? Because I went back and I started at the original one. And I'm like, I'm aware of what you're doing. This stuff doesn't work. I went back to the other one. This stuff doesn't work. we keep throwing the wrench, and then an echo through time. We get for the light beings the optimum timeline for our consciousness to go in the proper direction. Why? Because we're removing the darkness. Okay,
little by little.
Little by little.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris was saying, well, how do I do time travel to fix myself? And I'm like, well, it's basically the same concept. You go back to you, those moments in those fractals, because those are your fractals you're visiting.
You talked about that with me the other day,
Yeah.
when you were a little boy and you talked to a man that came out of your closet.
I didn't have an invisible friend, but I had a lot of moments of fantastic, weird stuff as a kid. And one of them was the guy in my closet that came out and talked to me.
And you just had a checkpoint moment recently.
When I drank Aya, they showed me the man in the closet. That they were like, are you ready? They were explaining, you're going to meet yourself right now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then a door opened, and there was 7-year-old me looking at me. And I go, oh, this is that moment with the guy in the closet. And then they were like, okay, that's you from in the now from when you were 7, but you can say whatever you want to him. You can talk to him and tell him. So I have this like little conversation with them, but they're like, that doesn't change you now. That gives him the opportunity in his fractal to not, deal with what you dealt with. It'll be easier for him.
Right.
Because now you're speaking to him and he's going to branch off.
Right.
And change it.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, so my echoed out fractals, which is your karma that you have to handle anyway. It's like your responsibility of yourself.
It's like a ripple in the water.
Yes, it's the ripple. You're going to clear the ripple. Each line of the ripple, you're going to go into each single one, and you're going to do the right thing.
If we can do that, we can go back to early times of hurt or abuse or lack of love.
And give that love.
And give that love
That's
to yourself.
how you do it.
If you think about it, why couldn't you do that?
No, that's how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. It doesn't matter if you're getting in on the original, blood ritual and destroying it, or giving yourself a hug. It's
just
all
go back
the
to
same.
that time and say, hey,
it ripples forward.
I know this is going to be a rough time, but I'm sending love here so that you're not alone.
Yes. Look, you step into that moment, right? All those moments, like with me, the choice of like not leaving Florida when I should have, right? I go back to, and I forgave myself, and I go, look, man, I don't want to change my past personally, Frank's past. But if I can go back to that moment, I think about that moment, and now I'm back there right now. And I'm like, okay, dude, remember that moment in the car when the song was played, and I said, man, I wish you were here, and thinking of my brother and my mother, and the song Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd comes on. They were like, just step on the gas and go home. You have what you need. Your wallet's in your pocket. There's nothing here but stuff could be replaced. And I chose to stay. Well, I leave in the other one, and I go home, and I sing Life is a Highway while smiling, and just head back to New York and start my life there. That fractal is now cleared. So when I go back to the original thought, I'm not mad I made the wrong choice there. I would have never been here with you if I didn't.
There's
so
nothing wrong with it.
It's not a bad choice. It's a choice.
Yes.
So I fixed the other
choice.
Fractal in the
timeline. Yeah. No, I get it.
Now that echoes forward, and Frank here, me now, is happy because I helped him and I forgave myself.
Right.
And and it's just a choice, but that's how you do it, and that's how that's how you do it.
That's how I feel now. I feel I've removed so much drama from my life that it's almost perfect. And every day is truly a blessing. And I wasn't able to say that before. I mean, I may have said it, but it wasn't true. And now I feel like it's just a beautiful life I live. And people say, well, you live in a 1-bedroom apartment with cats. And it's like, yeah, but it's still it's my beautiful life.
Ra and family were all here earlier today.
Yeah.
And what they say, we love this place. Everybody loves it here.
I know.
Why?
Why? Because it's us. It's the energy that's here.
We had to, as a couple and as FearLess, we've had to together, under Aya, not under Aya, every situation. Go back into those moments where you can act the way we did in the past towards the same situation, where we opt not to,
Right.
and go forward because
Right.
it's worth it.
It is worth
Whatever
it.
your reasons on
It
your
is worth
list
it.
is worth it. So you opt to not be like, you know what, dude, shut up, and be like, eh. And I'm like, and I'll go, you know what, I'm not going to be angry right now. You know, exactly.
Yeah, see, Roxy's agreeing.
And then move forward. But you think in your head, well, you know, and you think back to that last time someone wronged you, or
The
you're
life
attaching
around-
something to something
Yeah,
else that
the-
shouldn't have an attachment to it.
The life around you moves forward with or without you. So you might as well move with it because it doesn't wait for you. Life around you moves forward. Things are supposed to progress forward. And whether we like it or not, we have to keep moving.
Yeah,
We
just
have
keep
to keep
moving. You just keep rocking and
Yeah,
rolling.
pick a
Look,
direction and
Paul
move.
is not my ex-girlfriend, and she's not my ex-girlfriend before my ex-girlfriend, and she's not my mother, and she's not my attachment to the kid down the block that wronged me and called me, oh, he's fat. If don't date him, he's fat, right? So she's none of those people. What's the one thing they all have in common? They're all women. So should I attribute everything a woman's ever done wrong to when Paula goes, hey, man, you think you could get up at 8 tomorrow so we could do something, right? So I got to attach everything. Dudes do this. They do some,
I know.
right? Like, you wronged me, you know, you witch. And then it's like, wait, what did I do? And then it's like, well, my whole life, women have done this to me. It's like, I'm not that person. Wait, whatever you think women did, it was just individual after individual. Apparently, you're not learning your lesson. That's your problem. It's you are the problem, right? That's why the problem's repeating, because it's you. It's not the girl. And you're like, well, all girls are the same. And I'm like, really?
You're picking the
same person to give you the same lesson.
Different face. Same person, different face.
And the lesson's yours to
Yeah.
learn. Exactly.
I agree.
I know. We agree with you. Wow, she's really active
I
right
know.
now.
Well, she agrees.
Truth comes out. So you can't attach. So we do that to everything, right? Like the last car salesman that I bought, and I couldn't trust this, and I couldn't do that, and this one screwed me over. This one wasn't on top. Rah, rah. Stop attaching everything to everything else. Whew. Release all of that.
I go
Now
back
go-
to Home Depot.
and just move
We
forward.
picked paint color in like 5 minutes. That was the most impressive thing I've ever seen you do.
We would. Let me tell you something right now. If we were up against a team, a whole team of teams, that day you all would have lost. Sorry, that day you would have all
we were
fell.
on fire that day.
You would have all fell to the
Yeah,
fury.
But you know what? How easy did that make the trip that followed up when we had to go cut the wood and everything for the shelf?
Chop that wood.
It didn't make it easier.
I still can't believe we did what's accomplished here.
Mhm.
I kind of can't wait to show it off. But, you know, it's funny. I said to my brother, Rob Banks of the Red Cup Review, you should check it out. He's on YouTube tonight. I'm like, yo, man, I built that table and from scratch. And he was like, yeah, man, that's great. Right. And then I was like, all right. And I thought to myself for a second, wow, man, there are tables everywhere. Like, that's just the most common thing. Like, who actually gives a shit? You built a table. Woo. And then I'm like looking at my table going, that's a pretty good table.
I am clearly your biggest cheerleader.
No, I understand. But there's something to feeling that joy. And
Yeah.
then now it's here and it looks right.
It's a
Everything
sense of
feels good.
accomplishment.
The walls are clean. Let me tell you what, as we were scraping those walls, people's ayahuasca ceremonies were screaming back at me. And then as we kept scraping deeper into the wall, it was like 1902. The problems they were having in this
Was it
place
1902?
were screaming at me as well.
I think this house was built in 1986 or 76.
No.
Yes, it was.
Really?
Yeah.
And they took this weird spot? All the spots here on the corner have long, thin houses.
Shut up.
Is that your long,
Shut
thin
up.
house? It looks like you could
Shut up.
fit about 8 people sideways. It's like, who decided to buy that lot of the house? Listen, all this awareness is coming up
I
front.
love this apartment.
Other people go, that's a great looking house. I'm like, it's long and thin. Who would want to live in that house? You can put your TV all the way on the other end of the house. Go all the way on the other end, walk through the bedroom.
You don't live there. Why do you care?
I'm
Mind your
just breaking
business.
chops.
Is that cat still here?
Bucky Barnes keeps jumping in and out. So, wanting to be happy and wanting to remove the layers and wanting to change the timeline, and it's all fractal related, and you can just do this. You can just breathe it out. You can meditate your way through it. Your imagination is key. That's what this is. When you're like, huh? I'm like, your fantasy, your imagination. It's real. It's not fake. Right? All right. Don't connect it to, like some people hit me up and they go, oh, you're this or you're that, and you're connected to me this way. I'm like, those are in fractals. Right? Don't externally connect it to me or you or whatever. Keep it within you. Go fix them. Don't worry about anything else but you. Go internally, because people start to freak out and they go, oh, what's going on? I saw this over here and I saw you doing that over there. It's like your imagination is real. And as this stuff comes online, you're going to start to see the craziest things you can imagine. And you're like, well, I can imagine some crazy stuff. Me too. And I've seen some shit that'll turn you all white. Period. That you'll never want to go under and do anything. You'll never do another piece of personal work again. You'll just check out right there. Right? So we can opt to lose the fear, feel good, want to be happy, get into that happy spot, and then start mentally traveling.
It's not
with
easy,
your imagination.
but you can do it.
And just go there and go to those moments where you're like, oh, if I could change anything, that's what I change. Why do you want to change that? You'd really want to change that and be where you're like, you made it to this point now. This is the now. This is that moment you all been waiting for. So you'd go back and change something in the past so something would be different now? So you'd be somewhere different now? No, you're exactly where you need to be.
We always are exactly where
yes,
we need to be.
but you can go still back to those moments and see yourself making that choice and understanding why you made it, and then saying, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's all good. Yeah. You're going to go this way now. Go left instead of right. Drop knowledge. Give a hug. Whatever it is, interrupt that moment with something different. Where you were angry and maybe you got into a fist fight, go and be like, listen, man, I'm not fighting today. I'm not fighting. This is what I do, because people are like, well, I've done that, and then I get punched in the face. Well, if there's a fractal, you got to get punched in your face too. I put my hands up and go, well, I'm infinite. So no matter what it is, I told Paul I had this crazy dream where dudes kicked the door in and they threw knives, right? And the knives were going at her. And I was like, well, I'm infinite, so I could step out. I was like, okay, Frank in me was like, just move out of the way. But if I moved out of the way, it would hit Paula. So I would have made Spider-Man look awesome. Frank looked out. She would have been gone. But I had this thought that I was infinite. So in the moment as they were coming in the room, I wrapped myself around Paula and screamed, I'm infinite, but then whispered, I'm sorry, thinking I'm going to die. And then I just stood up with the knives, and the knives just fell out of me. And I was like, nope, not happening. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to argue. I don't know what this metaphor is of this fighting, but it's not happening. And it all stopped. It just stopped. I was like bigger than everyone. I was like, nope, it's over. I'm not engaging in this. It's nonsense to me. You have to choose not to engage sometimes. Learn how to say no, I don't want this, and yes, I want that. Hey, that hour went quick, man.
Is it over?
Yeah, it's over.
Are you kidding?
My name's Frank Castle. This is Paul Milo.
Oh, IamWeAreFearless.com.
IamWeAreFearless.com. Thanks, everyone. Stick around. Paranormal Portal's up next, and we are your protection.